Joining a fandom or community is something that anybody can do quite easily, but from past experience, I know that it can just as easily work against the people that jump in head first. This has happened more times than I like to me personally, and there for sure are other factors that contribute towards this, but for the most part, the blowback is a result of somebody growing attached to something they aren't familiar enough with, throwing all their eggs into one basket, and ultimately running out of energy too quickly or embarrassing themselves in some way or another. For this reason, I've developed this video guide so that both me and anybody that discovers this can make a proper assessment of whatever they're interested in and determine with a reasonable level of certainty whether they should join that fandom or community. I've thought about making this video for more than a year, so I apologize if what I've learnt during this time has degraded to the point of incomprehensibility. Let's just get on with it. The first question to ask, and the most important one of all, is this: have you participated in what the fandom is built upon? It is actually possible to join a fandom without having even experienced the source material, and this can be detrimental to the longevity of your involvement in a community. You'll notice that I've been using Deltarune Chapter 1 as background footage for this section, but why? Well, this was my first experience with Toby Fox's series, and yet I got into the Undertale fandom way before then. I have never owned Undertale, and yet I was associating with people who assumed I had. All of the information about Undertale that I learned was from gameplay videos and fan works. This is a terrible way to go about things, for you start to battle with yourself because you're acting disingenuous. Somebody could find out that you don't know what you claim to know and shun you for that, but the most likely outcome is you beating yourself up over your lack of knowledge, forcing yourself to be better without doing what you should have done in the first place. If the fandom is centered around a video game, play it extensively. If it's a television series or a YouTuber's library of videos, watch most of it. If it's a musical genre, be incredibly familiar with the common features of songs categorized in it. Only then can you trust yourself when you create works and express opinions. But even then, you must wrestle with another contentious point. Do you have the ability to contribute to the community? Now, I can't help you find what form of creativity makes you happy. That is something that you will have to find out on your own. I also can't grade different types of fan works as better than one another with any accuracy. But here is what I can say. If all you have to offer is posting YouTube comments, Twitter posts, or any other kind of short opinion pieces, you are not going to be able to attract much attention at all. It is important for you to have a clearly creative outlet that you can utilize to fuel your existence in a particular fandom. I used to make really crappy digital art and post it to Tumblr, or just get other people to make digital art for me. Regardless of the quality of it, you can see that I at least had something else to supplement my opinions. Now I make YouTube videos, which exist in a moving picture medium, which has far more viewer retention than text. Once you've found your favorite type of work and have shown everybody your capabilities through your work, then you'll have the reference material and the audience that you need to continually contribute to a fandom. This next question has some relevance to the previous. How many kinds of people will you work with in the fandom? It's a lot harder to determine whether or not you fit the bill for this particular point, but typically speaking, you'll want to be able to find ways of contacting at least 3 types of people regularly and of a high volume. Using my time in the Team Fortress 2 community as an example, I get to speak with animators, content creators, mappers, players, server moderators, and server owners quite frequently. You might instead want to focus on chatting with artists, graphic designers, modelers, programmers, writers, or something else. What matters is that you have a broad spectrum of perspectives of which you can learn from and use to better yourself and the work that both you and other people produce for your chosen fandom. Collaboration is the backbone of fandoms, and so you must exercise this in whatever means available to you. While this next point doesn't always apply, it's still important to know. How long will you be able to maintain your character? You will always enter a fandom with a specific persona, which includes your visible identity and your conduct when using that identity. It is important to understand this so you are aware of the long-term trappings of pretending to be something that you aren't in real life. The best example I could think of for this would be Minecraft YouTubers, with a target audience of pre-teenagers, which you may be familiar with, perhaps even nostalgic for. It is extremely common for these people to alter the tone of their voice, talk faster than usual, and sometimes take on a completely fictional personality in order to keep the attention of their viewers. In order to have successfully maintained your character, you need to be able to keep your conduct and identity relatively consistent for about 4 years. That is a lot of time, and it's much harder than it sounds. I have used many fictional personas in the past, and all of them have faltered within 3 years after their creation. The only persona that has stood the test of time for me is myself, because I'm not playing a character when I represent myself. So think about whether you are artificially changing people's perceptions of you, and determine for yourself whether you can continue doing so for 4 years or more. And now the final question, which is mostly circumstantial. Can you tell your friends about the fandom and your work without feeling shame? Obviously, this is heavily dependent on how sensitive the source of the fandom actually is and on whether you want outside validation or not. There is no way that you can promote an adults-only video game or movie to the general public in real life without being ridiculed, and if you already have other hobbies that you prefer to talk about, then you don't need to waste time with small talk about your community. But if you don't match either of these criteria, such as myself, then you need to be proud of what you're familiar with and your own work, both from your perspective and that of the outside world. If you say you post drawings on DeviantArt, then you're bound to be criticized by people that haven't gotten to know you. Of course, some stigmas are unavoidable, and that is one of them, so you should be aware of them and tune your insecurities so they don't affect you. However, if you believe that if people get to know your work, they will still show clear signs of negativity or even start showing signs, then there's a good chance that either your chosen medium or community isn't right for you. In summary, if you are interested in joining a community, but you have a bad answer to any of these questions, then you should take some time to reconsider. Have you participated in what the fandom is built upon? Do you have the ability to contribute to the community? How many kinds of people will you work with in the fandom? How long will you be able to maintain your character? And can you tell your friends about the fandom and your work without feeling shame? That is my guide on whether or not you should join a fandom or community. Please tell me what you think about it and whether I helped you or not in the comments. I also hang around on my Discord server, so if you currently share the same fandom as me based on the latest video I've posted past this one, then feel free to sign up and join in the conversation. Thank you so much for watching all the way through, and as always, I'll see you all next time.